Hello everyone, we're going to talk today about finding the part. Now let's talk about what is a proportion first. A proportion is part over whole, okay? What we need to understand is that when we're talking about part over whole, it's setting it up in a proportion so that we can maybe figure out one part that's actually missing. So let's look at one. Now, here we have an example. I'm going to go ahead and mark it part over whole. And then I'm going to go ahead and make my two lines. Now, the reason I'm making them equal to each other is because that's exactly what they are. They are equal to each other. So, let's look at the question. It says, what is 90% of 130? So, anytime that you have a percent, the bottom number is always going to be 100. And in this case, we have 90%. So I'm going to put 90 over 100. Now, when it asks 90% of 130, the of means division. Please make sure that you understand it means division. And the 130 is on the bottom. So we have one fraction left. So we know the 130 needs to go on the bottom and the x on top. As you can tell, I now have set up my part over whole proportion. Remember the actual steps for part over whole. The first is to set up, which we just did. The second is to multiply. And the third is to divide. So let's go ahead and multiply. We're going to do what we call cross multiply. So I'm going to take the 100, multiply it times the x, and take the 130 and multiply it times 90. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 100, multiply it times x, which is 100x. I'm going to put my equal sign because it always follows it all the way down. Now I'm going to do 130 times 90, which is 11,700. Now my next step says for me to divide. So I'm going to divide each side by the front number, which is 100. It is also called the coefficient. I'm going to divide it by the coefficient to get the x, which is the variable, by itself. So I'm going to divide each side by 100. Now, if you notice, when I do that, 100 divided by 100 is x. Bring down my equal sign. Now, if you notice, I actually have 2 zeros on the denominator and 2 zeros on the numerator. So, sorry about that. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go on ahead and highlight. I have 2 zeros right here and 2 zeros right here. Those actually cancel out. You can cancel out those zeros simply for the fact of that they cancel each other out. So how many times does 1 go into 117? It goes in 117 times. So x equals 117. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this number, the x equals 117, and I'm going to bring it up to the top. So if you notice, the 117 is part of 130. So we have our answer for the actual part. If you have any questions, please let me know. Just follow the steps. Set up, multiply, and divide. The end. Hope y'all have a good one.